Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel, and I am joined by Emil Franchi, host of Extra Time, for our instant reaction for that 1-1 draw against Wolverhampton. So, Emil, we'll start off with that starting lineup, so the starting 11. What were your thoughts on that? Because did you know what the game plan was, or was it just a case of, do you know how Pardew used to put as many left backs on the pitch as possible? Do you think Bruce just tried to put as many wingers on the pitch as possible?
I mean, we always make these jokes, don't we, about Bruce checking Twitter to see what he should do next week, and people were wanting an attacking game, and he thought, you know what, I'll put them all on. Whether or not it worked, that remains to be seen. But we'll get into it. But I just kind of went with what the journals were saying. I think Miles Staff put the best one out of saying that Murphy would be playing in that right back role. So I thought, fair enough. There we go. I think many people were very quick to rush in to say, oh, Cher's playing centre defensive midfield. This isn't going to work. You've got this guy playing here. And I thought, we've clearly been told that Murphy is going to be in the right back. A lot of people were just kind of putting their own versions out there. There was several screenshots of the interpretations that every TV team under the sun was putting on. So I tried not to read into that too much. I think that ultimately there's a reason behind every starting lineup for this one. Not too sure, but the attacking threat that we saw in the opening, the kind of like the team sheet that we saw, it didn't exactly come to light, did it?
Yeah, mate. So I think the first 10 minutes it was all Wolves, all Wolverhampton in that one. They had a couple of decent chances, obviously. Didn't have the shooting boots on by the looks of it, mate. There was a few chances edge of the box where it was poor from their point of view, and we're letting them in, giving them chances as we do with most teams. But I think I want to touch a little bit on, it is an instant reaction, so without going into too much detail. Saint and Miggy, I feel as if those roles got switched the wrong way. I think maybe Miggy should have had that number 10 role, which we've seen him play, and where he's looked fantastic. He came to Newcastle United and played on the left-hand side, and he struggled quite a bit on that left-hand side, and it looks like Bruce has went back to that. And Saint, he always looks best when he's on that wing and he can cut inside, and it always puts fear in the likes of the right back or the left back's eyes when Saint's running at them. And having that free role is what Bruce called it in his interview before the game. He just didn't look like that was a position for him. I'm not sure if you agree, mate.
I don't know what it was about Saint today, but he was very 50-50. There was bits that we saw where, he'd do the usual dropping his shoulder and having a run in, and there was the deflected effort, which Patricio got a hand to. But then there was like the madness of the short pass from the corner in the second half, or was it a free kick? Can't quite remember, but it just rolled out to the touchline, and I just thought, is he? I think there's an annoying thing for Saint is when he's not allowed to play his game, he takes it personally. We saw it a little bit against Brighton. Obviously, he conceded a penalty in that one, so it was a little bit harder on him. But this bruised ego seems to be coming back and forth, and I know that he loves the club and everything, but I'm worried that this lack of team player about him can sometimes overwhelm him in games. As for Almiron, I thought he was a welcome break. We saw his usual where he runs into space and he'll get a few set plays, perhaps. I think early on he won a free kick because he got hacked down, and that's what Almiron can bring. And the energy was there from start to finish from Almiron, which was always good to see. But in terms of them two gelling, it's still for me really hard to call what exactly should be done with the situation of Almiron and Saint, because we've seen that Saint starts every game. We've seen that Miggy's been on the bench, so maybe that tells you something into the ideology. But I don't know. I don't know how to set them up. I don't know what is the best situation, because we've got a striker so isolated, no one can get to him, regardless of which side they're playing.
Yeah, so we saw Callum Wilson, who looked like shades of Joe Linton from last season. Up top, isolated, it can't win anything. It just give you flashbacks to that, and another thing which stood out for me in this whole new formation, which Bruce has gone for, it just seemed like a stab in the dark, to be honest. But Hendrick was the sole centre midfield player in there. It seemed like the game just passed him by at times, especially in the first half. And I don't think it's any fault of his own, mate. Obviously, you've got 4 wingers either side here. It's one of those things. But I did want to mention, obviously, on the back of Saint and Miggy, their first touches and passing today, especially in the first half, was dreadful. They couldn't even string a 5-yard pass together at times.
There was one with Hendrick where I let out a long, drawn-out sigh, and I think that was when everyone on Twitter said, we can't even put a ball 5 yards. We just couldn't. And Hendrick was getting tangled up in the middle there. He was passing it back to his own player. And it was, I mean, honestly, this was the most boring game I've ever watched. It was.
So I referred to this, mate, as an international match. I hate watching England play. This was like watching England play. It was dreadful at times.
It was better watching us play Brighton last season in both 0-0s. Honestly. I mean, and you know what as well? I don't think Wolves were as good. So once again, we've played a team that aren't necessarily playing at full pelt like we saw against Man United. I know they went and beat us 4-1, but we've got 2 teams there who we could have gone out and absolutely had a crack at least. And I mean, we spoke about this in extra time about it, saying it's always a draw at Molineux, and lo and behold, once again we've managed it. And I don't know what it is. I'd love to beat Wolves since they've come back in the Premier League, but they're such a difficult team, and I think they're set up better to deal with little bits like that than we are. So that's why they, I mean, took them a while to crack through, but it was just a boring game. I think most people were asleep by half time. But yeah, the passing was just ridiculous. And it was good after that. It was good after that first 10 minutes, where Wolves were dominating and we started to gain a bit back. But you just wondered what was the game plan with that bit.
Yeah, slowly came back. You mentioned they obviously they had the first shot. Well, not the first shot. Well, they probably did have the first shot as well. But they had the first goal, mate. They took the lead, and we've had a bit of a debate in our WhatsApp group, mainly between Mark versus everybody else. So it's Mark versus the world.
Mark Walker versus the world is one of the most common things, isn't it? But
so I think I was the first one to put in the group, mate, saying that Darlow has to do better with that. He gets his hand away and marks straight at me and saying that it comes through a body of players. But Bestie pointed out later on that it doesn't necessarily come through the body of players; it goes over the top of players. Darlow gets a hand to this, mate. He does get an hand.
I heard it. You could hear it. You could hear him get a hand to it. You saw it roll off his hand. I think where a lot of people will come from with the whole Darlow thing, because there will be a bit of thing tonight where, like when Dubravka lets in one through his Quaver hands, like when Krul used to let them in, there's a tendency to really attack the keeper here. But what I was saying to you just before we started was, you got to remember that Darlow was being wide open to a lot of shots today, and it's not just today, it's happened in all of the games that he's been on that pitch. So I think that a lot of people might be inclined to defend Darlow a bit more than normal, simply because of the form that he's been in. Because he came into this season with the chips down. I mean, the odds were against him, weren't they? No one was rating him. There was people actually saying Gillespie should be starting ahead of him, and he's proved a lot of those doubters wrong. And I think it'd be sad to see him succumb to a lot of pelters from the fans just because he should have done better on one shot. We do forget that he had some great saves in that first half as well, and I think we all said that wouldn't be the last time he'd be called to action. It's just a shame that the one. I mean, it was coming. That was the other thing.
Of course it was.
If it didn't go in from that one, you can guarantee that it would have gone to a corner, and Bolly would have got a header or something. Something was coming from Wolves, and again, I wouldn't say that our goal was a response, but I certainly think the luck kicked in for us.
But I think luckily for Darlow, we saw another goalkeeping error, and so we get the free kick at the edge of the box, and Murphy steps up, and he's lining this ball up, and when he's stepping back, I look over to the people I'm watching the match with, and I goes, "This isn't a free kick for a right-footed player, this." And he steps up, he bends that around the wall, and it tucks into that bottom corner. Once again, the Wolves keeper gets his hand to it as well, and it's as if his hand just isn't there, and it's just a glove, and it just goes in.
It was Murphy, Almiron, and
Fabian Schär, I think it was me. I think
Fabian Schär were having a stand there, and I just thought they're going to waste. I literally said they're going to waste this. They're going to be wasting this because it's what we do. It's just what we do. We get those set plays, corners, free kicks later on, and you think.
And you've got to remember, mate, before that ball had been kicked, Carroll had just been brought on the pitch. Carroll you were just expecting that ball to go to the back post, really, weren't you?
Yeah. Murphy had a great game, which
man of the match before the goal, mate.
It was. And it's real testament to him that he's impressing, because I think he must have been frustrated by the way that things went in the first couple of seasons. I don't think any player wants to go to the Championship, and certainly no player who's signed for their boyhood team wants to let them down. And fair play to Murphy, because sometimes you don't win pretty, sometimes you don't get the points pretty, but on this occasion I think it's a well-earned point, but there are massive omissions from what we need, and I think that a lot of fans will probably be more frustrated at the fact that it's one more point that maybe buys Bruce 5 to 10 games more in the long run, and that I think will hurt Newcastle more than anything else.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, mate, it isn't at that point. We didn't lose the game.
It is. We didn't expect to get much.
Of course we didn't, especially conceding first. I was expecting to lose that game, obviously on the back of the conceding. But ends in a draw, mate. We'll take a point. We probably would have took a point at the start of the game. It's Wolverhampton. It's always a point. We'll wrap it up, mate, and more things this week. So you've got the Always Smiling Faces podcast on Monday. You've got me extra time on Thursday. And full of busy as well, mate.
What is the next game? Who we got? Everton.
I've got no idea.
Everton.
They've just been beat by Southampton.
Yeah, well, let's just hope James is not on. That's all.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much.
See you
later.
See you.
We drew you now.